The European Union is a key market for horticultural produce from Kenya, and in the country at least 9.8 billion rand a year. Recently, however, horticultural consignments from Kenya have been rejected either based on too high residue levels of chemicals or based on harmful organisms such as insects, fungi and bacteria. Sarah Kimani spoke to Dr. Charles Mulli, a farmer who has been in the export business for 15 years. And of course, what is he doing right? That's our story.
Inside a 2.5-acre greenhouse, 65-year-old Dr. Charles Mulli mingles with his workers as they harvest the latest crop of French beans. Dr. Mulli, who runs a home for orphaned and abandoned children, has been in the fresh produce market for 15 years now.
I started now thinking, how do I feed them? So one of the things on sustainability came up was farming.
On the average, the women will harvest 8 tons of French beans from 2 harvests a day and about 5 tons of tomatoes also from 2 harvests a day. In about 50 days, the French beans are ready for harvest and they'll be harvested every day for several weeks. Every year, Dr. Charles Mulli exports between 300 to 350 tons of French beans to the European market. He says it takes rigorous tests to enter the market and even more rigorous requirements for you to maintain the market. He remembers the journey to his certification.
I tried the first time. I failed badly. I got almost 15%. I tried again. Then I got about 48. Then the third time, I got 98. So I was above what they needed, 90%. I was the first African here in Kenya, indigenous African farmer to be awarded and given this certification.
Statistics from the EU's Department of Trade indicate that edible vegetables, predominantly beans and peas, are ranked the third lead Kenyan export commodity in value to the EU, representing on an annual basis approximately 1.8 billion rands. The market is ever sounding a warning.
For a couple of years already, we noticed that beans and peas from the Kenyan site that were exported to the European Union contained a residue of pesticides, which is above the level that we authorize our own farmers to use. So these consignments were rejected at the border.
The European Union has given Kenya until the end of this month to draft an action plan on how it intends to deal with high chemical residues as well as the existence of harmful organisms in fresh produce from the country.
We said that if the situation has not improved by end of September, we may take additional measures in order to not to have these products entering the European market any longer. From the farm, the produce is graded inside temperature-controlled rooms. This, yet another requirement of the exporting markets. Yatta, where Dr. Mulli farms, is semi-arid, and it therefore depends on irrigation. It depends on digitized irrigation to control the chemicals as well as nutrients in the water. From an initial investment of 28.2 million rands, Dr. Mulli has broken even and is aiming higher. His parting shot:
there is money. There is money in farming.
As long as you do not take shortcuts. Sarah Kimani, SABC News, Yatta, Eastern Kenya.